like he said, my name is Amy Hollan, and I teach kindergarten at Jackson Independent. And I teach 26 kindergartners, 13 boys and 13 girls. And at the beginning of the school year, I had 6 4-year-olds, the majority 5-year-olds, and about 7 who were 6 years old. And so it's a wide variety of age levels in a kindergarten classroom, which is most typical. And what is also typical of a kindergarten classroom or any other classroom is you have multiple disabilities within the classroom. You have students nowadays with ADHD, AD, lots of autism spectrum disorders, drug children, drug babies in the classroom. And one thing that we ask these kids to do when they come into our classroom in kindergarten, after being able to play and choose what they want to in preschool, is to sit still. Sit up, sit still, pay attention, do what I want you to do, listen to me, don't move, no, don't touch that, leave your pencil box alone, no, don't lay in your seat flopping backwards like this. Don't do those things. So as I was looking at my classroom, standing in front of the nice docking cam, thinking, hey, they're not listening, they're playing. I said, I want to see some way so that they can still move, because they're 5-year-olds. Most of them are 5-year-olds. They need to move. They don't need to sit the entire day in a seat like this. I can't do it. You can't do it. So why do we ask 5-year-olds to do it? So I thought about it, and I Googled alternative seating. And some of the things I came up with were quite interesting. One of them is actually a ball that looks like a exercise ball. We all use it to try to tone our muscles. Well, it's a ball, and it has little bitty legs that one of the kids said, it looks like a cow. And it does, because it has the legs on the bottom of it, so that when you sit on it, that it just bounces with you. But when you leave it, it doesn't roll off. So that's why he has these little udder-looking things at the bottom. Well, they love that. We pulled them out. And another thing, I didn't bring it because you have to inflate it and deflate it. Another thing is that you have one of these things that you put along the edge of your seat. You know where your legs are? Of your seat, and it bounces. It's like one of those stretchy bands that you use to exercise with. And you bounce, and your leg can bounce. And you can also have those attached to the end of a chair or a table, if you have a standing table. Because some kids in kindergarten, when they go to cut, there's not a child in my room on their bottom. They're all standing. They can't sit and cut yet. So I thought, well, maybe we'll raise one of the tables, put that little thing so they can bounce their leg. Works for them. Another thing, I brought a couple with me. This is a wobble seat. I bought 5 of them. One of them's not made it to the kids yet. One of them sits in my chair. Because I think as a child I might have been a little ADHD myself. I think I might still be. But when you sit on this, it moves with you. It gives you constant movement for your core. And then if you flip it to the other side, they think that's funny because they think they're poking each other. But that also has a little stimulation back there too. And it's not bad. And it's a wobble. And the kids like that one. And I put that in a regular chair. This one is the favorite so far. It looks like the old-fashioned sit and spins, right? But it's not. It's called a wobble seat. And there are different sizes of these. This one was for my kindergarten age. I looked online to try to find the different sizes. Some of them were 12 inches, 14 inches, 16 inches, 18 inches, depending. I can sit on this myself. It does hold my weight. And I can move it from one table to the next too. But the kids love it. When you sit it down, it wobbles so that there's constant movement from the child. Now, if they move too far, it will flip. Anything will flip. But how many of you have been in a classroom where you sit and you hear cling, 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 and those are chairs flipping over? These wobble chairs don't flip as much as a regular chair does. Now, they can sit on it. They've learned to spin on it. And you're thinking, okay, how in the world is she going to get anything accomplished with all this movement in her classroom? Well, I told you, I get distracted easily. I can see all the different things you're doing. If you're fiddling with papers, if you have headsets on, anything like that, I can see. So the rule in my classroom is, if Miss Hollan is teaching, you're not moving. Because they get a lot of movement throughout the day, they should be able to sit for the amount of 10, 15 minutes at a time that I'm up in front of them. Because that's all you can get in front of a kindergartner and can maintain their attention unless you have magic tricks. Okay? So they sit still. Now the rule is too, if you are moving while I'm talking, it's distracting me. It's not because it's anything to do with you or the person next to you, but Miss Hollan can't focus, and they want Miss Hollan to be able to focus. So they stop moving. If they're moving and they're continuing moving and they're distracting me, they have to stand. It's just a rule. And so far it's working. Now, I got mine in fairly quickly. I went and Googled, and there's several different other types of seating you can use. One was called a T-square. And this T thing, I didn't bring it. It looks sort of like a cone, but rounded at the bottom. And there's pictures on the board downstairs you can see. And it has to you have to have balance to sit on it. It's basically like taking one of these, taking the bottom part of it off, but it being rounder here. And you have to balance on that one. I have about 4 kids in my room who can sit on that one. I have put them to the side for right now, and I'm concentrating right now on the wobble chairs, the wobble seats, and we call them the bouncy ball things, and then the springs at the bottom for them to tap their foot on. And what I've done is I've assigned every child a chair. That's the type of chair you're going to work in. You're going to do it for the next week. You're going to sit there. And I'm going to document, and have been documenting, which students work best with which type of seating. So far, I had one child, bless his heart, perfect student, could sit still and listen to everything. When he's on that bouncy ball, he can't focus. So guess what he doesn't get anymore? The bouncy ball. This chair is the one he's on this week. He loves it. He can focus even better. He's still got movement, not a whole lot of it, but he still has more movement than sitting in that chair. Now, I had one child, like I told you, who sat in the chair, and she's leaning back and she's flapping her arms. She's listening to me because when I talk to her and ask her a question, she knows the answer. But that flapping is distracting to me and to every child around her. She sits on the bouncy ball chair. She's now focused on me. So it is starting to work. I'm starting to see a change in the students. I've got more research to do. What I've got set up is I'm going to have like 6 to 8 kids in a study group. One is a visually impaired child. One is a child who has multiple, he's DD. And then I have a couple of children who I think are hyperactive. I'm going to be tested for that pretty soon. And then I have some regular ed kids. And then I have one presumptuous, just turned 5-year-old little girl who thinks she knows everything, and she's the one who flaps. And those are going to be in my study group. And we're going to see how that affects their learning and whether they're able to focus better. Because when kindergarten, all we get is a 25-minute break for recess. 5-year-olds need to move. That's it.